more video footage, more live footage from Tel Aviv. The moment that one of those cluster munitions we were talking about landed in central Israel. So let's get to the video. This is from Tel Aviv. And boom, cluster. That guy could have died right there. He got so lucky. God just saved someone, bro. A freaking cluster bomb just landed in front of him and he's alive. Crazy. Insane. I don't know if he hurt. He's still on the ground. I would have been definitely running to like cover, but maybe he did get some shrapnel. Once again, we got one human. Look. Damn. He fell slow motion too. Wow. Right. And this is Tel Aviv, guys. This is up-to-date footage. And we almost had someone just freaking die in Israel from a cluster munition from Iran. All right, moving right along. Just then, we have CNN investigates and finds U.S.-Israeli strikes damaged hospitals, schools, and gyms near Iranian targets. So they're saying that our targets, our own network, CNN, is not trying to say we're committing war crimes, but they're basically saying, yo, y'all are essentially almost basically committing war crimes. Let's get into CNN.
The US and Israeli bombing campaign of Tehran has been targeting intelligence complexes, police stations and state broadcasters, but we verified videos and analysed satellite imagery and found the impact is going beyond that, due to the densely packed nature of the city and the large-scale weapons involved. Take a look at this satellite image. This crater is at least 40 foot wide. That means it was likely caused by a 2,000-pound bomb. The target, Iran's state broadcaster, the IRIB. The strike wiped out its communications mast. These bombs used by both the US and Israel are capable of killing or wounding people more than 1,000 feet away. And just 100 feet away is the Gandhi Hospital, one of the biggest in Tehran. Glass shattered, walls collapsed, and patients, including babies, being rushed out. As more videos like this one began to emerge, we started verifying them, pinpointing the hospital where each one was filmed. Then we cross-referenced with satellite imagery to see the damage caused by US and Israeli strikes. Like here, you can see the blown-out windows of the Gandhi Hospital from space. Over in another central part of Tehran is the Motahari Hospital. And just behind it is the Iranian police headquarters. In fact, you can see a police helicopter pad down here. This image is from just before it was struck, and this is after. Entire buildings flattened. The Motahari Hospital is still standing, but we verified this video showing substantial damage inside. It's not the only hospital in the area affected. Over here is the Khatam Hospital. Glass windows shattered, and medical staff are seen running out. Further down the same street is the Iranian Red Crescent Society. Smoke billowing from behind the building. Again, people are fleeing. Across Iran as a whole, more incidents like
that's CNN basically accusing us of committing crimes, targeting or hospitals and schools. They're accusing us of Israel, Gaza claims. That's what they're trying to do now, but include us together. That's kind of crazy if you think about it, if you're an American and an American soldier. All right. U.S. leveraging advanced AI in Iran conflict. How are we leveraging AI? We know how that went in Gaza, once again, for anybody that's following lately, using AI in combat. So let's see how that's going.
Something that's become a major vulnerability for Iran. The underground missile cities that not long ago were a point of pride. Let's dig into what's happened over at the wall. Iran spent decades constructing bunkers to shield its missile arsenal from destruction. But these bunkers, just over a week into the war, are looking like it was all for naught, because the problem is what was once mobile and hard to find is no longer mobile, and it's easy to hit. The U.S. has done so and continues to do so. The U.S. and Israeli warplanes are armed, have drones, and have been circling over the dozens of cavernous bases, striking missile launchers as they emerge to fire. Pretty much exactly like whack-a-mole in cities throughout the country, like Isfahan, Shiraz, and Tabriz. Now, the tunnel entrance to an underground base in Tabriz is visible in this photo. On this side, you can see an image of the tunnel from February 23rd. You can see the roads leading in and the entrance to the tunnel. But then in a March 1st photo, you can see where basically the entire thing appears to be collapsed, signaling it has been targeted by airstrikes. Now, a major player in all of this, helping the U.S. identify those targets, artificial intelligence. The U.S. is leveraging the most advanced AI it's ever used in warfare, which is used to suggest targets, it's to issue precise locations, locate coordinates, and allow the U.S. to strike 1,000 targets in the first 24 hours. Now, one of the platforms, the AI platforms, is the Maven Smart system. It's used by 20,000 military personnel, provides those targets, prioritization, and it's embedded within Anthropic's AI Claude model. Now, that model was also used to help identify targets for Operation Epic Fury. And what it does is it synthesizes documents, it streamlines the logistics, it simulates situations, and then identifies objects in the drone feeds. Now, here's a complicating issue. Today, Anthropic filed a suit against the Trump administration in response to the Trump administration designating the AI startup, Claude, Anthropic, as a supply chain risk.
How do you feel about AI targeting, that we're using AI to build out the whole information, to tell the drone, okay, you need to go here, and letting the drone and a computer basically go and kill someone based strictly off AI and no really human input? How do you feel about that? Anyways, if you hear, I don't know who's really here because I don't have this set up properly. This is my first stream. I hope y'all can hear me. I would like a follow if anyone can hear me. If you're here, or a sub, follow so
something that's become a major.
Anyways, moving right along. We have another Trump clip. Trump, you promised the Iranian people you will help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight. Isn't that a betrayal? Let's see what Trump has to say.
They did. Yeah, please. Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after your military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of the people?
Will I help them? I'd like to, if they can behave, but they've been very menacing. You know, they're great people. They have an amazing population. It's amazing, smart.
Yo, did y'all just hear what Trump said? I know it was probably kind of quick. He called them saying he would help the people, but he's like, I want to, but they're menacing people and they're bad people, but at the same time, they're great. It's crazy. I know I'm not tripping.
They did. Yeah, please. Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after your military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of the people?
Will I help them? I'd like to, if they can behave, but they've been very menacing. You know, they're great people. They have an amazing population. It's amazing, smart, brilliant, energetic. They have a great, I'd love to help them, but they have to be in a system that allows them to be helped. And right now they're in a system that only allows failure. And I don't want that. And I want a system that's not going to be attacking us. We want a system that can lead to many years of peace. And if we can't have that, we might as well get it over with right now. Yeah, please. They did. Yeah, please.
All right. All right. Moving right along. We got a guy that I like, Scott Ritter. He's a former UN weapons inspector. So the guy for us older guys that know about the Iraq war and that we was going over there for weapons of mass destruction, he was the guy that we sent and then reported back that they don't have weapons of mass destruction, but they shut him up after that and we still went to war. So that's who he is, Scott Ritter.
Now they want to ask for a ceasefire again. Why would Trump's people indirectly have sought 2 ceasefires in these 10 days?
Because we lost the war, and they know it. This war can't be won. They sought the ceasefire early on to prevent what's happening now, which is a global energy security crisis and the destabilization of the global economy because of high energy prices. Now that this happened, they need to reverse this. They need to end this. So they're asking for a ceasefire. The Iranians are 100% correct because a ceasefire today simply resets the map. Iran has suffered so much, sacrificed so much to achieve the position they're at today, where they have strategic superiority over both the United States and Israel in this conflict. Israel is defenseless. Iran's getting ready to turn up the heat. The Gulf Arab states are defenseless. In the United States, there's nothing the United States can do to stop Iran. And what could happen next is if we continue to strike, for instance, if Israel continues to strike strategic energy-related targets inside Iran, Iran will destroy the totality of the energy production capacity of the Middle East. And that's game, set, match. It can't be replaced. The people that will win in the long run will be Russia, which is sitting in the catbird seat right now. China, because China will have a strategic relationship with Russia, and Russia will provide them with the energy. India is going to be a disastrous loser, or a disastrous loser. You only have to look at the lines of Indians trying to fill up their canisters with gas. India picked the wrong side. They chose Israel over Iran, a fellow BRICS member. So India is going to pay a horrible price. Europe is going to collapse. And the United States is going to suffer the consequences as well, because even though we're energy independent in theory, we're not. The oil market is part of a global market. The petrodollar is part of a global market. We can't isolate ourselves from the world. We are linked to the world. So when prices spike globally, they spike at home, unless the president can do something to offset it. But in order to do that, you need a strategic petroleum reserve that's been fully stocked. Ours hasn't, because the president hasn't done his job. So you're going to see increasing moves by the president to bring an end to this conflict. He may try to declare victory down the road. What he's going to try to do, if I'm a guessing man, is he's going to try and kill the new supreme leader. And once he murders that supreme leader, he will declare victory and walk away, not understanding that the Iranians will never let him walk away.
Okay, Scott Ritter. Scott Ritter with an assessment. All right, guys, let's keep moving right along. And do we have any more news for tonight? Oh, we got Senator Lindsey Graham. Oh, God. This guy. This fucking guy.
We literally dodged a nuclear bullet. If President Trump had not done this, they could have had a nuclear capability within months, weeks, not months. And if they had a weapon, they would use it. To all those who don't believe that, you're stupid. You're a fool, and I hate to be so harsh. People got Hitler wrong. Donald Trump is the right man at the right time. To our allies, if you can't join this fight, what fight are you going to join? To Spain. You won't let us use your our air bases in your country to stop a homicidal regime from getting nuclear weapons that terrorize the world. I am encouraging President Donald J. Trump tonight to move all of our bases out of Spain. You know, we have an Article 5 commitment to Spain under NATO, but we shouldn't have air bases in a country that will not let us use those planes to protect the world against a religious Nazi regime. As to Lebanon, there is a military leader in charge of the Lebanese army that I don't trust as far as I can throw him. He is willfully ignoring Hezbollah. He's not disarming Hezbollah. There were rockets fired from areas that were supposed to be cleared by the Lebanese army. Let's get somebody in charge of the Lebanese military that will use it.
Lindsey Graham. I'm not going to even get started on him. So
we literally dodged a nuclear.
Our news portion, and now we're going to get into Professor Jiang, some more interesting deep dives, more theories of the war. All right. So let's get into our first Professor Jiang clip.
Israel wants the United States to lose this war. And that means a long war that destroys the American political will to fight any more foreign wars. If America loses, Israel becomes the dominant power in the Middle East. So let's look at the four major players in this war. You have US, you have Israel, you have Saudi Arabia, and you have Iran. Okay? All right? So, the United States and Iran, they're pretty easy to understand. What the United States wants to do is destroy Iran. Okay? Why? Because if we were to destroy Iran, the United States would have complete control over Middle East oil. And it would control global trade through the Strait of Hormuz. And therefore, the United States can maintain its empire, okay? So a really simple objective. Let's destroy Iran. We don't care how, we don't care why, let's just go do it, okay? Iran has another strategy, which is control Strait of Hormuz and destroy CENTCOM. CENTCOM is basically the American military in the Middle East, called Central Command, okay? So those are two major military objectives of Iran. And we can understand why. Because if CENTCOM is destroyed, Iran has complete control over the Middle East. Now, Dubai, now Oman, Bahrain, Kuwait have to pay taxes to Iran. Now Iran, the new kid, is now the bully of the Middle East, right? Now it's a hegemon. That is the political objective of this war. Okay? Israel is a bit more complicated. All right? For Israel, sorry. One other thing is humble Israel. That's the other thing, because even if you defeat the United States, you still have to deal with Israel, okay? And Israel is the great military power of the Middle East. So you want to humble them. You want to weaken them. You can't destroy Israel because Israel has nuclear weapons, right? You piss off Israel, those nukes start flying. You don't want that, right? So those are the three major political objectives for Iran. Control the Strait of Hormuz, destroy CENTCOM, and humble Israel, okay? If you are Israel, actually for you, the strategy is different. What you want to do is this. You want to destroy CENTCOM and destroy Iran. Okay? Those are your objectives. Why? Because if you destroy both the United States and you destroy Iran, then you are the sole hegemon in the Middle East. Okay? Also destroy the GCC. Destroy Saudi Arabia as well. Why? Because once Saudi Arabia is destroyed, all its resources belong to you, okay? And this creates something called the Greater Israel Project, which is what we will discuss next class. But as you can see, that's really important, is that even though the United States and Israel are allies, their ultimate strategy is different. Their objectives are different. In fact, they're in conflict, okay? Then you have Saudi Arabia. What does Saudi Arabia want to do? Well, destroy Iran, because if you destroy Iran, you have complete control of the Strait of Hormuz. Then you can be a bully, okay? But you also want to destroy the US and you want to humble Israel. All right? Does that make sense? All right? So by understanding how each player perceives the game, we can now understand how they will go about their strategy. Right? So the United States just wants to destroy Iran. But as you can see, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Iran all want to destroy the United States. And how do you do that? You do that by forcing the United States into a long ground war. Right? Therefore, if you're Israel, you don't want to use nukes. Why? because nukes would end the war too quickly. You want to drag this war out as long as possible to force the United States to send in ground troops. And then you're like, well, why doesn't the United States use nuclear weapons? And the answer is already told you, the escalation ladder. It needs to justify itself to the people, okay? When you do anything, all right, when you do anything, when you do anything, you have to worry about certain factors, okay? You have to worry about troop morale. Your soldiers have to believe that they are fighting for a good cause, okay? You have to worry about public opinion. You have to make sure that the world is on your side. You have to worry about politics, political will. You have to make sure the people are unified, and you have to worry about enemy morale. You don't want to piss off your enemy so much that they go into an extreme, they jump the escalation ladder to extreme beyond your control. Okay, does that make sense? Okay? So as you can see, war is extremely complicated. It's not just about weaponry. It's not just about resources. It's ultimately about controlling the narrative, controlling the political landscape. Okay? Marshaling the resources in a proper way that is strategically beneficial. All right? Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. So, yeah, so we just answered two questions. Will the United States use ground troops? Yes, it will, because Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Israel will work together to force a ground invasion, even though the United States doesn't want to do so. But unfortunately, the United States doesn't have a clear, coherent strategy. It's passive. Therefore, it can be manipulated into sending a ground invasion, okay? And the second question is, will Israel and the United States use nuclear weapons? And the answer is no, because it's not in their best interest to use nuclear weapons. Okay? Israel wants the United States to lose this war. And so that means a long war that destroys the American political will to fight any more foreign wars. If America loses, Israel becomes the dominant power in the Middle East. Okay? And so the last question is the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And we'll answer that next class on Thursday. Any questions?
Will Americans take over Iran like what they did to Venezuela? Like they captured their president?
Okay. Look, the strategy in the beginning was to do a Venezuela in Iran. Meaning you go in, you kill the leader, a new leader emerges, negotiate with you, and surrender to you because you're too powerful. Okay? But Venezuela and Iran are two very different countries. The Venezuelan elite is very pro-American, meaning that their wealth, their children, their family is stored in America. Therefore, the Venezuelan elite have a vested interest in negotiating a deal with America to protect their own interests. But for 40 plus years, America has sanctioned the Iranian elite, and Iran has become poor and angry and disgruntled because of that. Therefore, they lose nothing by fighting you, okay? So even though you've killed the supreme leader, and you've killed many of their leaders, in fact, the elite themselves are unified in opposing you. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, any more questions? Yep. Alan?
So, I in fact have a question about the motivation of U.S. to involve in this war. Like as you said, that U.S. want to control all the oil, so like they must destroy Iran. But I think this is like a little bit confusing because I think U.S. know that this war is really highly risk and it can potentially even like destroy the whole systems. So why U.S. risk the risk of like whole system collapsing to like control the oil that Iran had?
Okay, all right. So this is the key question that everyone's arguing about. Quite honestly, we're going to argue this for the rest of eternity, okay? We're going to argue this for eternity because like no one knows. And there's never going to be a clear answer. In fact, there are multiple possibilities, okay? what I'm going to do today is offer you the most simple explanation. In the next class, I will offer you a much more complicated explanation, okay? But the simple explanation is this. Again, this goes back to military doctrine, how the United States military works, okay? And the military doctrine is prevent the heartland from arising, right? So the United States is here, this is Europe, this is Russia, this is Iran, India, China, Japan, this is Middle East, and this is Africa. All right, so the American military doctrine is this. The greatest threat to American power is the heartland unifying, okay? Why? Because if the heartland unifies, it can trade by itself through railways. But America is primarily a naval power.